there's a poll out there. Just go ahead and answer in the poll. When I get about 60%, I'll share it with you guys and let you know how many in the room we have are subscribers or not. We got about 50%, and it's looking like, yeah, 36% yes, 60% or so no, and it's kind of fluctuating right in there. So that's good. We've got a lot of new people that we'll show our technology to. We did kind of have a little higher end presentation planned, and we'll kind of do an overview first, but then we'll get into our custom formulas as well. I do have one other question for you guys, and for the 33% that do have an active subscription here, I want to know if you guys have our premium or our standard plan. So that would give you access to the AI. So last poll right here, and then we'll get right started with the presentation. I'll wait for a few more of you guys to vote. We will have a discount code presented to you at the end of the presentation here. So if you want to go ahead and sign up for your first month or first year, you can do that and use the discount code. Or if you want to upgrade from a standard to premium, you can do that. All right, so we've got about 50-50 here. Half the people have standard, half the people have premium. So with that, let's just go ahead and get going, Dan.
Okay, so everyone, thank you for joining myself and Brad on our bi-weekly Q&A. It's going to be a good show today. Not going to be too long, but we do have a kind of an important thing to demonstrate. Brad will be doing that. I'm going to be showing you something that, again, we've talked about before. Ultimately, it's about how Trade Ideas AI can be used for buy and hold. Okay, so before we begin, let's just start off with a disclaimer. Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. We are an education facility. We are a technology-based company, but all of our technology is for educational and informational purposes only, and never a specific recommendation to buy or sell any securities of any kind. Everything you see from Trade Ideas, from our alerts to our AI, are hypotheticals, not investment advice specifically designed to you. Again, that means that you need to use your own judgment whether you partake in it or not. Okay, so is everyone able to see the question and answers panel? There was a great question by Gilbert there. And because I'm funny, Brad, you know I'm funny, right?
You're very funny. Very.
I have to answer it in a funny way. We have okay, so there's a couple of things I want you guys to see. Number one, first of all, in the chat part of the webinar, I dropped a link to a video that really talks about what is Trade Ideas buy and hold, how to do it. I'm going to show it to you because a lot of people are not into day trading, especially myself and Brad, because we're a little bit older than we used to be back when we were virile 20-year-olds, you know, going in and out of the market like 100 times a day, no problem, right, Brad? But we're a little bit older now.
Yeah, slow down a little bit.
We've got to slow down a little bit and relate more to the way the market actually works. So what I'd like for you guys to do, a couple of things. First, in the chat room, please watch that video. I mean, you can be doing it while I'm talking because we can't hear your audio. Please like it. It helps get the message across. Then I'm going to showcase some of that information, and then I'm going to jump off to Brad. And Brad's going to show you a very brand new thing that we put in, how to make your trade ideas a little bit more powerful. Then I'll come back and finish up the Q&A. Okay. So is everyone able to see my screen?
That's a good looking screen.
Okay, love it. So a couple of interesting things to note. So today, if you look at things in the very, very short term, one could say, well, it was sort of a tough day for the AI. Indeed, especially if you're doing it aggressively without doing any stops and just holding and not doing any risk management or reentry. These things happen in the markets because, as you guys know, look at today's S&P. You're talking about up, down, up, down, up, down. This is called the whipsaw volatility. This is very common in the stock market. But what I want to do is I want to showcase to you a couple of things. First, I'm going to pop out this chart and duplicate into a free floating window right here, just so that I can make it a little bit bigger for you all. Okay, and I want to show you a couple of things real quick. Number one, zoom in a little bit. Every stock that you're going to look at from Trade Ideas, and we've discussed this many times, gives you hypothetical risk reward. And by the way, we're going to be improving this user interface immensely, right, Brad? Like in very, very near term.
Yeah, there's some great chart improvements that'll be coming here in the next couple months.
Yeah, by the end of the year, the charting system will be virtually unrecognizable. Again, it's been improving slowly, but it's going to get so much better we can't even dial it in. So you're in the right place. Once again, you know, we've had the best analytics forever, but well, I'll answer. Sadak, TradingView is a competitor of ours, and why do we need to, you know, have resources of a competitor when we can easily make the exact same stuff? And also, we don't need to go into the details and depths where TradingView goes into charting, because in our opinion, charting is a visual thing that's kind of like a snapshot. You don't need to delve into like the studies and the pitchforks and all this other crap that people put into charts. We're going to make it aesthetically as pleasing as TradingView 100%. And you're going to get the best of both worlds. You're not going to need TradingView when we're done with Trade Ideas. Does that make sense? And sorry for TradingView or some of the other competitors that we have, but it is a competitive landscape. So again, it's not that we don't appreciate TradingView aesthetic. It's very nice, but we can certainly match it. We can do lots of improvement. And one of the things I'm showing you is this thing right here. Number one, notice that I didn't have to configure anything, but you have this thing here that says 288 and minus 144. Again, this is going to be greatly improved in terms of visibility and the right side. This was a prototype of a risk management, and we've done a video on YouTube about this. You should definitely check it out. But let me pull up real quick your favorite FANG stocks. I'm always on the dev version, and Brad, it's always a little slow. Why do you think that is? I wonder. I have no earthly idea. Maybe it's because it's the webinar. Just upgraded it. No good deed goes unpunished, everybody. Brad, do you have that same issue? Again, okay, something, it just must be my version. Or maybe it's Apple. Or maybe I didn't type in the right symbol. Okay, sorry, here we go.
You know, we did add that new little functionality there when you're,
you know what?
search by the company
I just
name.
realized I misspelled it. So when you, whoops, let me pop that out. Here we go. Again, forgive my bad driving. So let me zoom in again. So our software assumes every time you pull up a stock that you are going to be entering the trade. Again, hypothetically speaking. Okay. And so here Apple is telling me based on my preferences, and we have this tools options under AI trade size, I've got $5,500 per trade. Okay. And again, I can put this on 100 shares, for example. Switch it, apply, hit save, and I'll leave it at 100 just so that it's easier for everybody to kind of comprehend mathematically. So now the software is assuming I'm going to be buying 100 shares right here, and based on the algorithmic profit target and stop loss, you've got your entry and exit kind of framework, your parameters. Okay, so Gilbert, for you to change a symbol, all you have to do is, number one, you can type in any window they're linked, but you can click on the stock and you can type NFLX, Netflix. Click on it, and that's how you change a symbol. Okay. And again, this is very, very simple kind of stuff. And notice once again, because Netflix is a more expensive stock and trades in a much bigger range, Here is at $602. If you entered here, your stop for the day is here and your profit target is here. But again, these are just hypotheticals, but the idea is that you now have some mathematical expectations. For example, here you could take half, you can do lots of different things. And notice over here, you always have your swing exit. So this software is there as your coach, your partner. It's telling you, hey, I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you some things. And this is where, again, we're trying to take it to a different level than the trading views, because you don't need to set anything up. It's already here for you. And I'm just going through charts and type in Amazon. Okay. And here it is. Once again, trading 100 shares of Amazon at $3,400. You know, lots of people cannot do that. Looks like, was that after hours that it gapped down, Brad? Oh, here it is. It just adjusted. Okay. So here we go. Based on where it is right here, this is your exit, and it's very close to its swing exit time frame. So notice here, Amazon's been pretty weak, and this is something to really keep an eye on. So you've got your swing exit right here. You've got your smart stop below the swing exit. And the idea is that how many software products give you this framework where you were just given these hypotheticals, and again, based on how you trade, let's look up Dell. I'm just putting in stocks people like, things that they're familiar with.
So it's important to note that that profit loss calculation right there, you have the ability to set up in the software exactly what kind of trade you're going to experience here, you know, and I think you have it set up to 100 shares, but you could set it up to $1,000 or $5,000 or.
Absolutely, and that's over here under tools and options. So again, whatever you do for the AI, and by the way, this is, Brad, like you, for this, everyone has this option as AI trade size, even the non-premium users, correct? Because obviously, again, this is not simply a premium part of the product, it's everything. So here you have 100 shares, okay? And you can have 10 shares if you're going for the Amazons. And once again, if I do dollar amounts, 5,500 works very nicely. I'll go back to that so you can just see what that's like.
So and you do need to change the symbol and come back to it.
Right. And so here, I'll go to LCID. And based on 5,500, these are my risk parameters. So once again, we also have the standard stuff, your SMAs, your volume, your average, you know, volume, your SMA on the 200, and you can see some of these lines. They're already all done for you. The idea is we want you to do less work and be able to react better. So Sadak, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Assuming that you bought the stock right here, it's telling you based on the amount that you would have purchased it for, meaning at this price level, and how much you would have bought, meaning these levels right here, $5,500 worth or 10 shares or 100, it's giving you hypothetical profit and loss instantly. So you can see, oh, okay, if this thing runs from here, my profit target, I'm gonna make 396. If it goes down, I'm gonna lose 98, I think it is, Brad. We're so terrible, we gotta fix that. And then of course the swing exit, and we're also, Brad, we should also create a dollar amount for the swing exit. That's something that's coming as well. So does everyone understand? So that's what it's doing, and you're not used to it because nobody else does this. Let's put in Microsoft. So I can see why or how, if you're asking, you know, you're like, well, what are they, you know, what are they talking about? The idea is that everything, this is hypotheticals, and the way you turn it on or off, you go to right click and you go to properties, and it's called show smart risk levels. Okay, that's how that's done. Okay, show smart risk levels. Once you do that, you are able to see this for every single thing. Does that make sense? Did I answer the question?
Yeah, and there's an algorithm to determine where that smart stop is. It's really based on the stock's volatility, how much volume it's trading today compared to normal, and I think the range of the stock for the day. So those several different factors are determining where that level should be placed.
Correct. And so that's your roadmap for every single stock that's out there. Okay. This is the difference between Trade Ideas and the other vendors. The other vendors give you lots of options. Trade Ideas gives you a game plan so that as soon as you open up your chart and you see something, you're instantly aware of the fact that, once again, you can clearly see, well, one thing I would say this, Brad, and again, I'm just being purely right here. So the swing exit is, by the way, something that shows you weakness clearly. It's saying, meaning that, look, it's been trending down, and if it breaks here on volume, you know, things could get bad. But of course, also, it could be a buying opportunity. It hit this before and bounced up quite a bit. So the idea here is it's giving you these levels, it's showing you where you are, and it's letting you trade like a chess player, okay? So that you can conceptualize what's happening and you can see, how do you get through A today? And again, this is a daily chart, okay? How do you get through today, and how do you stay in for the longer term? And remember, real quick, let me pop this out quick.
So I always like the duplicate into free floating personally, just because it really.
By the way, so do I, Brad. I just simply didn't.
I know you're nervous, huh?
No, well, it's just I you know. So okay, so here I go to properties, show smart risk levels, and now you can kind of see this on a more intraday basis. So zoomed, like I'm gonna close the daily because we have it in the top here. So it might be a little bit easier to comprehend. Okay. So John, we include the SPX in lots of our calculations for the AI, but ultimately, John and everybody else, none of these things are the critical thing. Okay, there's no magic VIX, there's no magic SPX, there's no magic indicator, there's no magic system. The only thing that's tangibly functional is actually what Trade Ideas does, and which is we have a system that's constantly learning from its experience today, adding that experience to its learning base and figuring out tomorrow based on all the information today included. All of the things, we've been lied to about everything. Again, technical analysis does nothing, and that's why there are zero hedge funds, zero performing hedge funds that are technical analysis oriented. Now, there are hedge funds that are quantitative, and quantitative is a totally different thing. You're doing all sorts of data analysis, including, again, the technicals, which are really just market data driven analysis, data points, but you're adding all sorts of stuff to it that is, again, beyond the pay grade of most individual investors. So what I'm just saying is that the reason we don't need trading view charts and all these other indicators and things like that is simply because it is very easy for the individual investor to run into a system of paralysis by analysis. Okay.
I think it's also interesting to note, Dan, that what did we have? We went for 8 years before we ever included charts in the program. I mean, the program is so feature rich from an alert and scanning perspective. You know, the charting was really the icing on the cake there, but the meat of Trade Ideas is really all the analysis that goes on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And again, to me, it's the beauty of being able to give you this quick snapshot right here. Like NVIDIA, if I'm trading it, and I think this is at 100 shares, what am I expecting to win or lose? Like, most people do not have these numerical data points. And you can, of course, zoom out a little bit and you can say, okay, I see where I am. You know, that seems reasonable to you. I mean, again, these are just ideas, concepts. And if you look at the daily chart, let me just zoom in on that. Once again, you can see that NVIDIA, of all things, is kind of, well, it was at least sort of approaching the swing exit, one could say, kind of hovering around there close, been coming off. So once again, you're in this area that could be potentially a good buy point, possibly. And you don't know until you apply the risk management to it, okay? So let me do a couple more things here real quick. So I'm gonna show you how to make the AI more of a buy and hold type of a system. So Phil, in terms of the screener functionality, again, this is not the focus of our Q&A today, but obviously we have this information in spades. Just go to our YouTube channel, Trade Ideas Education channel, and you will see so many videos on how to do everything that you need. And this is not a screener, this is a real-time alerting system. So you're not just screening for like the way typical stock screeners do. Of course, we can do that, but this is a real-time alert system that of course functions as a screener, but does so much more. And the YouTube channel is your best bet for this. So let's take a look at a stock like BEKE, okay? So you had a buy point right here. And this is the trigger. So you can see it right here. And it went, let me zoom, okay? You had a buy, remember we have different modes. And this is a really important thing to digest for everybody. Let me change the timetable here to 5 minutes so you can kind of get the idea a little bit better. And I'm gonna right click, duplicate free floating window. Once again, just so you can understand. Okay, so you have your buy signal right here. Brad, what happens after the buy signal?
You buy it.
Well, of course, but what happened to the stock?
The stock went up. Yeah, the stock went up pretty significantly, to above $19. So it ran up, 60 cents there.
So it went from 1835. This is the buy point right here. And let's talk about 5 minutes. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So in 45 minutes, you went from 1836 to 1938. If you could have nailed it.
Ran $1.
Right. A dollar profit, which is pretty significant. What is this sell signal right here, Brad?
Well, that right there was telling you to get out of, that was the conservative mode, because we do have 3 different modes, telling you to get out of the trade, probably because it was taking a profit save, because it was doing a retracement from a high. It made that 1936 high and it pulled back significantly enough to justify taking profits.
Correct. So notice here, again, our system is saying, hey guys, we had a great run. We've seen a pullback, let's take profits. This was a great example of intelligence, of how things work in the AI. But now we're talking about, but this is only 45 minutes. Lots of people want to hold things longer or, want to go for more gusto. So after that, it fell 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. In another 45 minutes, it went right back to the entry signal of 1836. Then, if you were holding it, okay, which is what aggressive mode is, then you would have basically exited on lows at 1764. So that wouldn't have worked out today. But let's assume that you were trading it conservatively. Let's assume like you maybe got out right here, 1871, just 36 cents, okay? How do you make this a signal that you can use again? Let me show you real quick. So here is the buy signal, the price. I'm gonna right click right here and I'm gonna say create alert at 1835. I'm gonna actually say at 1837. And I'm gonna say crossing AI entry signal. I'm gonna hit save. Okay, so now you've got this pin right here, right at the AI. And of course I can grab it, I can drag it a little bit higher. Let's say I want to get past like this area because I want to see that it's running, right? So to me, I'm like, you know what, if it's not enough for it to get through here, I want it through here so that it really takes out this area. Again, just hypothetical, so you can just grab this, drag it, and drop it. So now that this is here, I'm going to be alerted to this, okay? I'm going to be alerted to this, and this is an AI trade. And what I'm doing is I'm following the AI, and I'm using a negative. I'm turning it into a positive. Again, I was not in this trade specifically. So let's take a look at another one, UNFI. What did I just do to that window? Okay, UNFI. Well, that one happened to have been a great trade, Brad. So I don't really know what. But how about this? Okay, let's say you missed it. Are you with me? Let's say you missed this trade, which, by the way, this is what the AI is trying to do. So again, even though in aggressive mode it didn't work out great, we still have great winners and all sorts of stuff. And we're going to get to the losers and everything. So here we have an entry at 48, sold at 50.08. It's at the end of the market. So it's a buy and hold all day strategy, but you missed it. So let's say this thing comes back. Once again, click right here and say, pulling back to AI entry signal. Once again, now you have your heads up. Does everyone see and understand what I'm doing and how this information is really critical? Okay. Let's go to RGS, the big loser. And let me pull that up. Once again. So there's a couple of things you can do here. And we have in the AI something called reentry signals. Okay. So Brad, that's under moderate, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, the reentry will show up in any scenario if you've been stopped out. So the real requirement is that once there's been a stop out, once it retraces significant enough back to the original entry price of the AI signal, it'll then give you that indication to possibly reenter.
Correct. So let me show you how to do that. So that's done automatically during the day, but let me show you how to do it for long term. So this was a trade that we thought could be running on volume, a breakout, but it pulled back. These things happen. And by the way, this is why we have stops. So here you would have really just lost 25 cents.
And that's important to know because like I said earlier, we had these three different profit modes. We have the conservative, we've got the aggressive, which is going to take you all the way to the end of the day, and that's 389 price right here. Or you've got the moderate, which will adhere to the stops, right? And that's more of the realistic approach to stock trading. We really don't want you holding big losers for a long period of time. So, but we're giving you the notion to be able to see exactly, had you held this the whole day, how would it have turned out? So it's really important to have those three different profit modes in your mind.
Correct. And again, we're going to do a lot more display information, but this is the conservative mode. This is teaching you the kind of like if you're playing blackjack with total rules and you're not messing around, or poker, this is what you're doing. But had this thing gone over here and gotten back in, guess what? It would have triggered the re-entry. So let me show you what you do. Now there's a couple of things you can do here, okay? You can go right above the stop, and this is a personal preference. And you can go and give yourself the notification right above the stop loss now. So that means this trade could potentially be right back on. It means it went from 390 all the way back to 425. So this
I think you said the appropriate word there, potentially. And just because you put in this price alert for the notification doesn't mean you're buying it. Just because it triggers, you're taking a look at it and you're making that assessment and determination.
Right. There's no magic 8-ball. And I sent in the beginning of the Q&A, I showed you guys the FAQ about how you may not believe this, if this is true. Our most commonly asked question at Trade Ideas is, hi, can I have the system that makes money? Please, everybody, go to our FAQ, click on the FAQ. You want to see it because we tried to be funny about it. And it's true, this is what people want, but you have to be honest with yourself. That's not how the real world works, okay? It's not. If that happened, people wouldn't be giving you the magic money machine, because then it would ultimately then not be working because everybody would have it. What we're trying to do is give you an advantage based on data. And this advantage is something that you can take advantage of. And I've shown people my 401k results where I'm up over 43% for the year, which again, you're not going to get in any kind of mutual fund or other managed 401k. So you can definitely beat the averages using our tech, but you have to put some legwork into it. And I'm showing you the baby steps of how to do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you an example. And again, hopefully everybody got a chance to see that video in the chat. Did you guys see it? Or were you able to click on it? Did it come through, the DAVA video? Just a couple of yeses or nos. Just I want to make sure you're aware of what we're trying to do. Because what I'm showing you here is something similar to that. And I want to show you through examples that these things are possible. Let me go to chat real quick. Hold on one second. All right, I'm gonna, there is a chat window.
Despite a rough overall market, yesterday turned out great.
Okay, you're not watching for a second.
Assistant Holly AI. Let's take a quick look at her trade in DAVA, and while doing so, I will reveal a little bit about what's in the works here at Trade Ideas. Holly's pushing the spring algorithm detected DAVA yesterday morning, and although it took a little while before the stock got going, it ultimately climbed almost $4 and is still continuing to move up today. Zooming out a bit, you will notice that DAVA was not at all unknown to our Holly AI. The very first time she caught sight of the stock was already in 2019. Ever since then, DAVA never went below Holly's initial entry signal, not even during the hectic, COVID-related drop it experienced in March 2020. Like so many of Holly's picks, DAVA would have been a good buy and hold stock. And that's why we're excited to tell you that we will be creating a dedicated buy and hold Holly channel.
So that's really what we're working on, a dedicated buy and hold channel. Hopefully everybody was, Brad, everyone was able to see that, right?
Yeah, it was a little hard to hear, but I think it was pretty self-explanatory from what was going on there.
And I just put it into the, yeah, David, thank you. So again, I just posted it in an answer section, but it's also in the chat section. So the idea is that we have these signals, and if you have a properties area here where you see show AI trades, you can see when the software got into the trade. Again, like this buy signal in RGS will be visible tomorrow. And also, of course, I'm alerting myself to it, so I'm already ahead of the game. Let me show you the final step before I give it to Brad so he can kind of give you the closing of the presentation, because obviously, Brad, I've gone longer than I should have.
Do you think?
Okay. You can go to history and go to yesterday. Okay. So this is yesterday's stock. So take a look. GoGo. Okay, was a signal yesterday, and how it's going today. Still pretty good, only down 4 cents. DAVA was from yesterday. UNFI, okay, was one that was a short sell that did not work out because again, it was a losing trade. But my point is that depending on what it is that you're doing, it almost does not matter. It's the stock that's giving you the attention. Okay, once you see that you were stopped out, you can say to yourself, okay, well, there's momentum here. Why don't I give myself an alert? And once again, I think this was a good trade. So it was a short yesterday, but a long today. And that happens, by the way. Again, the AI does that. And I am showing you that you have this historical feed, and it actually was twice. It went long twice. That's how powerful the UNFI signal was. So using the historical data feed, you can go to history and time frame. You can say something like 8/29 to today.
Strike that, reverse it.
Whoops, sorry, my bad. And now you have a long-term feed starting at 8:30, where you can kind of see real quick and start setting. This is what the premium trade ideas people do all the time. So again, once again, look at this trade. This was a buy signal at 375. It's right now almost 100% higher. Okay, and again, they're not all going to be like that, but you can see the entry price. FIGS, kind of right at it. Look, right here, it went as high as 48. Okay, went below it. So what do I do right now? Very simply come right here, create a price alert, and I'm going to give it a little bit higher. At AI entry. And this is the ticket. This is your 1, 2, 3. This is how you use the AI for buy and hold. And we're going to have a feed of these winners that's going to be coming your way, where a lot of this, what I just did, will be automated for you. So it's going to be quite amazing. Okay, Brad, do you want to quickly switch to yourself and show the team what we got?
Yeah. So let me do that. As you were saying earlier, Dan, we're an alert, and I think you may have used the term scanning, I'm not sure, but we're an alert and scanning tool, but we're a whole lot more than that. We've been doing this for forever, 19 years or so, maybe 18 years. But we've got back testing, we've got artificial intelligence, we've got simulated trading, we've got live execution and automation. And with that simulated trading, everything you can do in that live environment, you can practice and do with fake capital, so that you're not risking real money, while you're learning the system here. So we have all of that, and we've been doing it for a long time. But in addition to everything that we offer from, the alert and filter perspective that we have, we have a finite number of alerts, a finite number of filters, although it numbers in the hundreds, right? So there are a ton of different options that you have. This is a top list configuration. You can see all the different filters that we have in the software. But like I said, there's a finite number, and there's always something that you may want to do that we don't have available to you. But we have what we call this custom formula editor. It allows you to create custom filters and mathematically manipulate the data that we have available to you right out of the box in the software. So let me show you. We've always had a custom formula editor. It's really been something that you would get to from our website. So let me just go to Trade Ideas real quick. And you do it under the support tab right here, the support option up at the top. You scroll down under account management, we've got this custom formulas. There's some help documentation to familiarize yourself with it and some codes, but everything needed to be facilitated here on the web page to go ahead and add a filter to the software. Now, mind you, you can't think that anything can be added. Like I said initially, you have to manipulate some of the data that we already have in order to do that. So we have a new option, and before we go today, I'll drop the link in our chat window where you can download the latest version of the software. It's the latest beta. And under tools right here, we've got this option called Formula Editor. And I've got a bunch of formulas that I've already done, but I'm going to start from scratch on a couple of them and show you how you do it. But these are all in my inventory in this particular account that I have. But I want to go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start with, say, U10, and I'm just going to blank it out here. The first thing that I want to do, however, is I want to open up this help document. This help document is really my resource. I could use the web that I showed you earlier, or I could come right over here and use this particular document. Essentially, it's just got a list of the different variables that you can use to manipulate here in the software. And this bottom section that I showed has variables that are not available in Trade Ideas. Like an example would be, say, the 52-week high and the 52-week low, the actual value. So let's just say I wanted to create a filter and make it the 52-week high. All I would do is I would just copy this guy right here, and I come in here and you put it in brackets, and you close the bracket, and that's all there is for the 52-week high. Didn't work.
What's that triangle thingy?
Yeah, that's telling me that it doesn't recognize the code until I type it in. I did some pasting, and that may not be a good idea here. And then I'll close it off. Doesn't like that one. All right. Love the way this is going so far. High underscore 52 week.
And maybe it's, yeah.
There we go. Okay, so I'm adding
Yeah,
the 52 week
it
high
was
right here.
case sensitive. I think it's
52.
case sensitive.
Yeah, so I'm going to call this the 52 week high, and this is going to be a price. And I can make the price a dollar symbol here. And let's go ahead and save it. Now I'm going to create another one, and I'm just going to call this the 52 week low. It's pretty easy just to type in low underscore 52 week, and this is going to be 52 week low. And let's go ahead and save it. And so now I'm going to come back to the software. I can pick any window right here, for instance. In fact, let me open up a new one. Let's just open up a new alert window. And I'm going to search for 52 week high and low. These are the two that I added, and I'm going to show the column. I can also, because we have a position in range that's a position in year range, I'm going to go ahead and add that as well for a little bit of graphical enhancement. So we'll hit OK, and over here at the end, in addition to my other columns that I've got my 52 week high, my 52 week low, and if I bring my price over here really close to it, you can see here that I'm pretty close to the low of the year. I should probably do it this way. And that's how you can add a column to it. And there's so many different things you can add to the software from that perspective. So let's go back up to Tools, Formula Editor. I think I have it behind my window here. And I'm going to add a new one here. And I think this is a pretty cool one. So the first thing you do is you select the filter that you want to add.
Brad, quick question. The U numbers, is that automatic, or do people, like, I mean, I'm asking because I'm sure people want to know, how did you know?
You're given a bevy of 100 different custom filters that you can use. And they're all, these are your user-defined filters. So that's why there's a U, but it's between 0 and 99. And so you have 100 different placeholders to put in these different custom filters. So my 52-week high accounted for one of them. My 52-week low accounted for one of them. We've got some great stuff with volume that we do here. So like, for instance, V up 1, that's the 1 minute volume. And so, that's in shares. That's basic. I'm not going to do that one, but you can do some great things like increasing volume. Maybe, I want to know that this last 1 minute volume has increased over the last 5 minute 1 minute volumes. And so the way that you would do that is you would just take this variable that I have right here, which is this number of shares for the 1 minute volume, and then I would just divide it by something like V up 5. So this is the 5 minute volume divided by 5, and then I'm just going to close my parenthesis. There we go. So this right here is going to give me a ratio, right? So my 1 minute volume, let's say it's 100,000 shares over the last 1 minute. And over the last 5 minutes, there have been 500,000 shares. Well, that's normal volume. I'm going to get a value of 1 right there. But when I start to have my 1 minute volume turn into a value like 2, then it starts to look more like our relative volume ratio filter, where we're looking at this last 1 minute compared to the last 5, and now we're doing 2 times normal there. So that becomes really interesting as you use a filter like that. And I'll give you a couple resources at the end right here where we've created a few blog posts where there are probably maybe 60 or 70 different custom filters that we created that really show you kind of the interesting things that you can do in this regard. So then if I come up here, I've got one that I've already created. It's called increasing 5 minute volume. I think it's U42 or something like that. So this increasing 5 minute volume becomes even more sophisticated. So now we're looking at the 5 minute volume in shares, and then we're dividing that by the total volume divided by the amount of minutes that we've had in the market, and then we're multiplying that by 5 to kind of make it look like the 5 minute volume. So it's another great way to really dive into math and create ratios based on what you want to look at. If you want to look at stocks that, not only are doing really strong volume. Like you could have a nice relative volume filter already in there and then add this to it. So now not only do you have a strong relative volume, but you know the most recent few minutes have had more volume than the previous ones. So I think that's a nice way to look at the market as well. And then as just another example, before I kind of show you the blog post, we have one that's called Market, where is it? Market cap change today. And so this is really kind of taking a look at how much has the stock moved on a percentage basis today and really equating to how much market cap is associated with that. So, you know,
Brad,
let's
would
say
you add that to your single stock window just so people could see it? It's a good place to show.
Yeah, you bet. So if I come up here, it's called market cap. I'll go to configure, search, and we'll type in market cap. It'll give me the different market cap options I have. This is my custom that I created. So I can show that as a column. I can move it around, but for now, let me just do this. And so market cap today change for this particular stock right here. You know, it's a $2.8 billion market cap, but it went up $245 million today from a market cap perspective. So another interesting way to look at a stock and their movement and how it's reflected in the market. So let me do this. Let me grab this link for you guys. I'm going to drop it in the chat. So this is our latest beta version of the software. All kinds of good things are in it. We probably haven't talked about everything. I know that this little guy right here, you know, has a nice symbol lookup where you can either type in the company name or type in part of the symbol and it'll give you, you know, everything there.
No, I love the market cap change today, Brad, because it kind of puts a little numerical perspective that people usually just don't get to see. You know, like put up UNFI, the one that we were talking about on the AI. So it's again another one where you can sort of see that, and of course, Brad, you could theoretically or easily do like how much. Well, I guess the percentages we know it's 8.56%, but it's really nice to be able to visualize what is that monetary value from a perspective of just dollars. Obviously, 10% would be 287 million, but here's your 8-something% is 245 million worth of market cap. And yeah, and that's another really good one that you could put in there, the 52-week high and low. The single stock window is a very powerful thing. It's sort of underutilized in some cases here, especially, Brad, give everyone a quick just glance at the similar. So notice there's a tab, it says similar to UNFI. So here you're talking about companies that are, I think, competitors in business. So very easy to see what's going on. And of course, see, well, if UNFI is doing so well, maybe what about like click on STKL? Because it's just a much smaller priced version, but possibly will have some similar movement since UNFI had such a big one. And again, Brad showcased the fact that, you know, the historical AI signals, we're going to create a feed of the winners. So you're going to get a lot of good things, a really big, powerful push into the end of the year for everyone. Brad, are you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, let me throw it back to you, big guy.
Okay. Is it the right screen? I want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. So as I was mentioning before, we're an Inc. 5000 company. We've been growing very well over the last 5 years. Certainly, we've been on the list of the Inc. 5000 privately held fastest growing companies because of your faith your subscription dollars. We're grateful for that. And we are a company that develops the code in the USA. We don't outsource to anybody. We do it all here. And we've been doing it that way for over 20 years. And very excited and going to be continuing. One of my favorite things to tell you guys is that you should not subscribe to Trade Ideas. If paying $7.50 a day for a service like ours is something that you feel is expensive. Because again, you know, if that's the case, then you probably should not be in the stock market. And I want to do the right thing by telling you, do not subscribe to Trade Ideas if you feel that $7.50 a day, and that's the highest level premium. Obviously, you know, there's cheaper prices, and you have a monthly and yearly option, of course, as well. So for those of you that are okay with that, or if you want to tell your friends, there's a promo code today, Holly Rocks, 15% off of the first month or a year off of Trade Ideas. We have a test drive coming up in October, very exciting. It's going to be October 11th to October 22nd. You'll be able to test drive all of the features and really get your feet wet without, you know, paying a full subscription. It's an amazing thing. Lots of thousands of people take advantage of it. So take a look at that at trade-ideas.com/test drive. But really, you just should be using this offer because we're one of a kind in the business. TradingView does not have this. TC2000 does not have this. There is not a natural pure play competitor to Trade Ideas, and you guys all know this. You just need to do your research if you haven't. We are the best in the business at idea generation and everything supporting trading execution and trade management. And of course, with our Brokerage Plus, which connects to Interactive Brokerage and E-Trade, you can simulate a trade. Well, that's for everybody, but of course you can also automatically trade or just trade regularly through IB or E-Trade. Tons of support sessions. People are asking me about education. All you have to do is go to trade-ideas.com/live, and there are daily support sessions, weekdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Check that out. Incredible people support that who know quite a bit, and it's a great resource. Of course, Barry, who's in the trading room here today, is a moderator of our trading room, trade-ideas.com/trading room. Another fantastic resource where tons of active investors are helping one another to get the most out of Trade Ideas and to, of course, beat the markets. We are easy to get a hold of, although Brad and I have been banned from all social media. There are many of us who are still on it, and we do appreciate if you like us on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or other things that I'm not even aware of, Brad. And please, if you have any questions, shoot us an email at info@trade-ideas.com or give us a call at the number on this slide. We thank you so much for taking your time with us, appreciate it, and hope you enjoy the rest of your week and have a successful trading endeavor. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.